כי אדוני דין חכמה בביב דעס וסבונה גל עיני ואבית הנפלאות בזרזך and we're back. And we're back. The Levim Mamish never left. We thank the Levim for joining us. We thank everyone for coming to Wartime SUPERCHULLIN number 111. In the schus of the soldiers, in the schus of the captives, in the schus of the yeshiva, we should continue to grow. In the schus of the family, we should continue to be able to come together. Am Yisrael, in Eretz Yisrael, Mirz Hashem, we should be zocher meher b'yameinu. Shkayach Gadol to Avimairi and possibly other Yidden that had help in getting us this new location. The Eibush should give us the D'Shmaya to use it to elevate ourselves, elevate the sparks, and go to freedom. Because Divrei Torah is that opening. Baruch Adonai Melech Haolam Shekol Niyal B'Rai. Anyone have any writing you take done? I have my ukulele case. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav. Says the Gemara, says Rav Yehuda, says Rav, Hachalid es asachin. Now who remembers 30b? Now who remembers what chalada was? It was one of the psulei shchita. Who remembers which?
The one where the knife is hiding.
Right, where you can't see it. Something like a
Rat.
Like a rat, like a chulda, mole rat. What do we call a mole rat? And she was Gula Shol. What was the mole rat from Kim Possible?
Rufus.
Oh, what? Rufus. Naked mole rat. So, we had a chulda. And so we learned from Rufus the halacha over here. We learn that you can't do chulda. So says Rav, hichlid es asachin bein simin lesimin. So everyone loves to talk about. Can I have the entire thing? Just to get a different pencil. Just one different one. Thanks. So. Hichlid, thank you so much, Representative Shlita. Thank you for all your help in helping with share. It's really a 111, and it really is. Teamwork makes the dream work. Shali v'shalachem, shaloi. All right. I'm good. Thank you. I'm going with the pencil today. As Hashem told me. The glasses are off, and now it's time to say Shalom Aleichem, all of the visitors and all of the watchers. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav. Says Rav Yehuda, says Rav, Hichlid es asachin bein simin lesimin. So everyone loves to translate, to explain that what chalada is that you have to be able to see the knife, that it can't be hidden like a mole rat in his hole, right? It's got to be visible. So there's another permutation of this law. There's another way to understand that it's got to be visible. And that is that if you stab the knife between the trachea and the esophagus, v'pasko, and you separated them, that's psula. That's puzzle. Tachas ha'or, but if it's under the skin, keshera, that's kosher. So if it's between the two simanim, puzzle. If it's under the skin, it's kosher. What's pshat under the skin is kosher. The shechita that we saw actually was talking about taking the skin off, and that sometimes you got to use the knife part to remove the skin from the animal. Let's see. My kamash malan. What do we even learn from this thing? What's the big revelation here? My kamash malan. Tanina, we learned in a, what's the word? Tanina. Mishnah. Tanina, we taught it in a Mishnah. Speaking of two nuns and one nun, just because it's Shteig's favorite parak, I'll say that if you see Rav Huna in the Chalom, you should look for miracles. Why? It's one nun. But if you see Hananiah or Yochanan or Chanina, someone with two nuns in their name, Nisei Nisim. Nisei Nisim. So, Tanina, we're going to hear a Mishnah. O shehichlid as hasachin tachas hasheni v'pasko. So it says in a Mishnah, this is a Mishnah later on page 32a. It says, if you did hichlid as hasachin, you stabbed the knife under the second v'pasko and you separated it. Rabbi Yeshovev Omer, Rabbi Yeshovev says, nevela, it's a nevela. Rabbi Akiva Omer, treifa. Rabbi Akiva says, okay, Gavalde. Shkayach, I'm Larry. So, we have some Muhammadian in Shir right now, and he's talking about Allah. So I'll say, listen up, because we are learning about shchita, which is one shchita, ritual slaughter, which is one of the many things that the Muhammadians tried to take from us and didn't get completely, but you can still learn a lot from the source of a lot of the laws in the Quran, which is the Talmud. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Rabbi Yeshovev Omer nevela. Rabbi Akiva says treifa. If it was from our Mishnah, if it was only from that Mishnah, I would think that these words is when you go from the down to the up. The loka avid derech shchita. We're not doing like the way of shchita over here, right? That's not a way of shchita to go from down to up. Aval milamayla lemata avid derech shchita. But when you go up to down, that is the way that shchita is done. A mashabir dummy, say that it's good enough, dummy. Kamash malan. No, shabir dummy means enough. Dummy, it's similar, right? Kamash malan, that is not good enough. Says the Gemara veiter, tachas ha'or kasher, you put it under the skin, it's kosher. Beirav Amri, the house of Rab, says, tachas ha'or, under the skin. Any odea, he said, I don't know. He said, under the skin, I don't know. I don't know. Any yodea. Ibayu l'Rav. The Bay Rav, they asked the house of Rav, the Amri Tachas Haor, any yodea. They say under the skin, I don't know. Any yodea? I don't know. I don't know. But I feel like the beast of burden. So that line in the sand, was it even worth it? So the way I see people's turn is making it seem worth it. It's starting to defeat the purpose. So Kavid Shrita, right? So under the ore, under the skin, that's where I drew some. All right. Or under the skin, idiot, they have business, they don't know. Iba, Iluhulu, Beirav, they ask Beirav. Or idiot, they under the skin, I don't know. Tachas mitlis mahu. What about under a rag or a talis? A mitlis. Mitlis over here. Tachas mitlis over here. Mitlis. Who's mitlis? Someone got Pete Rose in mitlis because he got kicked out of baseball. So therefore, mitlis. Avimari is probably getting a lot of nachas from his son's sports reference. The truth is that it's the bread and butter of every American Rebbe to make sports references. You know?
It's true.
Oh man, I'll tell you, any Torah that I remember from growing up was with a sports reference. Pete Rose, Mitlis.
Charlie Hustle. Some dainty cakes.
Dainty cakes. Shkayach. So mitlis, what word do we see in mitlis? It's a word that everyone knows. We wear when we daven. Talis. So here mitlis, I think is like a rag, but it's from the lesson of talis. So what about under the talis? What? Tachas tzemer misubach. Oh, doing a shchita. What if you're doing a shchita and everything is revealed? You just can't see it because there's a talis blocking your knife. Is that considered chalada? Is that little Rufus mole rat in his little hole? Or not? That's the kasha. Right? You know what the house of Rav said? Do, and no. Said, I don't know any of that. Tachas, what about tachas midless? Tachas tzemer mesubach. What about under some kind of, what about if it's really, really thick? What if it's really, really thick? Tzemer, shalom aleichem zu. What if it's really, really thick tzemer? What then? What if it's really thick wool? And so it's blocking the shchita. So the Rebbe says, shave it. Okay, but what if you did shchita and it was like blocked by the really thick wool? You think so?
Yeah.
Well, what does the Gemara say? Same word I asked you to read yesterday. If you look inside, you will see that the answer is the Gemara. Teiku. Very good. When Eliyahu Navi comes, he will answer this question. You know, Eliyahu Navi comes, maybe comes down from the Shammai and we'll be like, I have a very important question. What about if your shechtin is covered by a lot of wool? He'll be like, what kind of wool are we talking about here? Is it mesubach or is it just regular? Good question. Good question, Eliyahu Nav.
How come anything blocking the sight of the sheep be permitted?
Right. Why is it not chalada? Why is it not obvious that it's chalada?
If we're bothering to pluck feathers out,
right.
Certainly.
Well, very interesting that we bothered to pluck feathers out. That might have been because of this reason, to make sure that like a clean cut. But we're talking about right. But we're bothering to cut feathers out. We got to see what the halach is. It could be that he was just picking out the feathers. It could be he didn't need to. It could be he was just doing that to make it even higher level of shechita, but it could be that
visually
appealing to show us what's what. Okay, let's go back to see the halaga, the Rashi. Hey, look at the Rashi. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Our forefathers had this conversation that we're about to have. We're just reading what our forefathers said. Our words of our forefathers were saved, Mesiras Nefesh, from thousands of nations. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Hichlid as a sachin, bein simin l'simin. You put the knife between pipe and pipe. You know? You put it between the trachea and the esophagus, the pasco, and you separated them. We saw the word pasco yesterday in pizza. Where? By psik resha, the lonichale, where you cut off the head. You know, I was trying to give my son a head of a chicken to play with. You know. And people say, what are you going to give your son a head of a chicken to play with? Why don't you give him one of these toys? Oh, these toys, these satanic toys. You know, the head of a chicken is much better meatos than a Barbie, for example. Or a G.I. Joe or whatever. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav, Ichlit as a sachin, bein simin l'simin v'pasco. Pesula, it's puzzle. But if you do it under the skin, it's kashera. Says Rashi. Upasco. Letachdon kehel chaso. To the bottom one, you cut it like it's supposed to be cut. Ella shehichlid v'chazer v'hotzi as a sachin, that he stuck it in and v'chazer v'hotzi as a sachin, and he returned and removed the knife. V'chadach ha'elyon kedako. And then he cut the top one, the top side, so there's a top and a bottom. He put the knife in, and all of a sudden, talking from the knife's perspective, the top and the bottom, trachea, esophagus, or whatever. So he put it in, he did a good shchita on the bottom one, couldn't see it. Then he took it out and did a regular good shchita on the top one, and it's all fine from the perspective of time, right? So, Upasco, so what's the case? It's psula. But if you do it under the skin, it's kashera. So what do you mean under the skin? That you take the knife and you insert it in this under the skin, and then under the skin you cut the trachea and the esophagus. Yeah, we have a keser behind us in the base medrash. So the Gemara says that there are three crowns. The crown of Kahuna, Aaron took it. The crown of Malchus, David took it. What about the crown of Tyra? Yeah, Adayani Muneches B'Karen Zavis. It's still in the corner. Anyone can come take it. You know? So let's just go. Let's just go. Oh, look at that. Let's look at that crown.
I'll be sitting around with crowns like, yeah, what's that Tyra baby? Let's go.
And yeah, but they're not right now. We have crowns. I saw a Mishnah. It said, don't be jealous of the famous people or the sarim and the princes and stuff. Why? Because you, each and every one of us, greater than them. Our crowns are greater than them. Our chelek is greater than them. To be Am Yisrael, to be B'nai Malachim, the B'nai Nevi'im. And so don't be jealous of celebs because we got the way bigger crown. You know, it's not even close. You know? Yeah. Instead of getting crowned, they're getting kept. Okay, so Tachas Hasheni. So what if you put it under the skin? It seems to be okay. But what's the big chiddush? We already learned in the Mishnah. Tanina. Oh, hichlid as a sachin Tachas Hasheni. You hid the knife beneath the second. So what is that? You already shechted the first one first, and then you're going and do chalada to cut the second one. So the pasco and you remove it. Rashi says chatcho kehilchasa. Now, before we even go by, I have a big question on that Rashi. That Rashi is translating chatcho, and you cut it, and Rashi's like kehilchasa. So first of all, why did Rashi need to tell us that? And also, how does Rashi know kehilchasa? I would think the fact that he says chatcho, that he cut it, means it was not kehilchasa maybe, because it doesn't say shachto. It just says cut. So that's why Rashi comes and tells us, no, don't worry, it's kehilchasa, right? One word, you know? Rashi writes one word, and he's like, "You're lucky I didn't do it in one letter this time," you know. Rashi's like, "You're lucky you got a whole word for me."
Rashi was stingy with the ink.
Oh, definitely stingy with the ink. It was very expensive back then, you know.
There's a word in computer science called Kolmogorov complexity. It means the smallest way that you can write like a unique number. It can't be like any further reduced.
Very interesting. We also have that concept in philosophy about Occam's razor, which is the simplest explanation is the one we go with. Okay, wait, hold on. We're with Occam's razor. Okay, wait a second. Earth, stationary. We are not moving. It is very clear that's the Occam's razor shot. The globe is this whole crazy thing that even though it feels that we're stationary and flat, really you should believe the scientists because they have right code. Occam's Rigtan says flat egg. Okay. Says not a globe. Okay. Every year we have one thing that just disproves the globe easily. Easy. It's not even hard for us. It's not even a question. But we're still bliving, because we're humble. But every day another Occam's, the globe gets hit with another bat.
Right. It's everything we've seen in the Torah.
Yeah. Everything in the Torah says not the globe. Every single thing.
Except for the parish of the Rambam, Das Yafar.
Well, I don't know even if it's clear in the Rabbah, but everything in Torah, there is this Tosfos, Adaf Mem Aleph in Avodah Zarah that we spoke about, the Gemara in Avodah Zarah. I think that Gemara says very clearly that the globe is idolatrous concept, but some people want to go with Alexander the Great's pshat, and I don't even think that's definitely pshat in Alexander the Great, but he says Kikador. Right? Okay. Alexander the Great, not so great, in my opinion. Tachas Hashedi. So what happens? You put it under the second one. And you should cut it. Keo Chasa, says Rashi. Rabbi Yeshovev Omer. You know what Rabbi Yeshovev was up to? Something sneaky and menacing. Shuvu B'Anim Shayavim. That is the weird. Rabbi the Menace says Nevela. Well, listen, Rabbi Yeshovev, I put a little cover to his name, obviously, but here he's arguing with Rabbi Akiva. Heliga Rabbi Yeshovev over here. We don't really hear so much about him, so we can learn more about him. But we know that he's a Tana. And Rabbi Yeshovev says it's in Nevela, and Rabbi Akiva says it's a Treifa. And this is another big sugya that we've touched, but we have not gotten to the bottom of. And that big sugya is the difference between Nevela and Treifa. What do we got there? A great dainty cake, you say? That's good, dainty cake.
You all right? Okay.
Wunderbar, Barav Yeshua approved. So, Nevela. So Rabbi Akiva says it's a treifa, and Rabbi Yeshovev says it's a nevela. What's the difference between treifa and nevela?
Treifa, I'm blinding really, but in Treifa, my suggestion is an animal that was roy the shechita that the shechita was done improperly, and the nevela was just something that maybe has a mum or.
So it's good. It's good. We're gonna figure it out exactly. The one difference that I know that comes to mind between treif and nevela is that nevela, if something carries a nevela, is mitame. It's mitame b'masa. And a treifa, if you carry it, there's no problem for a treifa. But if it's a nevela, it is mitame. Treifa is not mitame, but we'll continue to hammer out exactly the difference between these two concepts. The local wait. So he says treifa. So it's already we already have a mishnah. Rashi says one thing, the vela umitamea, and it makes it tummy. So if it was for a mishnah, or if it says just a treifa, meaning it doesn't make it tamei if you do challah, it's just not a kosher shchita. But the shchita helps enough, at least, that it wouldn't be considered an animal that just died from non-shchita causes.
So a broken limb would be tummy.
So
Broken limb on the animal?
maybe we have to see if it's in the vela or treifa. If it's our Mishnah, Hava Amina, Hane Mile, Milamat Lamail, I would think these words are from bottom to up. Because since he hid the knife under the second pipe, simin, lo efshar ella milamata lemaila. It's not possible. You have to cut upwards, right? If it's under the second one, so you gotta to cut the second one, you gotta cut upwards. Rabbi Yishoviv Omer Nevela, Rabbi Akiva Omer Treifa, Imi Masniz and Hava Amina Hane Mile Milamata Lemaila Deloka Avet Kederech Shchita. It's not the way that Shchita is done, you know? Underhanded Shchita, what is this? WMLB, you know? But if you go Lemaila Lemata, you go, you know? By the way, I'm just going to point out that the concept of above and below also has a possible interpretation according to Chachmas HaNister, when they talk about his orus to the sata, his orus to the ela, awakening. There's two different, the Sfarim HaKadoshim talk about two different ways of interaction between us and the Eibishter. His orus to the data is that we started with the davening, with the learning, and we shake the pipe, you know, we shake the shefa, we bring it, right? But also, what if, and happens many times, unfortunately, in Klal Yisrael, that we were not able to step up, and we need HaKadosh Baruch Hu to make the first move, you know, we need HaKadosh Baruch Hu to start to shake us up. That's his orus de le'ela. And so, but that, because I'm a Nigla Rebbe, I just thought, als Nigla, I should just mention that could be something that in the future, when we're seeing this Masechta, we will talk about, you know. I'll leave it to Gra.
The Pope is dead.
The Pope is dead. Mazel tov, everyone. We're getting our stuff back. Amen.
That's a pretty big shake-up, isn't it?
We should be zocha, you know. We should be zocha. That's great.
Amen.
I said in a song, right, about a year ago, soldiers were so prepared to overthrow unholy seers' careers. Who's the unholy seer? The Holy See. Some of the Pope. For example, like Ore Bergoglio is Roman Caesar. That's the Pope, Ore Bergoglio. That's the guy who died, the guy who I called out a year ago. Like Jorge Bergoglio is Roman Caesar, and will dethrone the cheaters as a bonus feature for the Lotus Eaters. What's Pshat? Who are the cheaters? The entire political thing, right, left, anything. They're all cheaters. And so we'll take down the Shibud Malchias. That's our real goal, is taking down the Shibud and, the idolatrous satanic pedophiles of the realm. That's the goal. But also, when we do that, we'll also take down like this ridiculously rigged political system of indentured servants, or it's basically neo-feudalism now. This is what this time is going to be known as when they're looking out at it. They're going to say, okay, so they're feudalists, and then there was neo-feudalists where the slaves didn't even know they were slaves.
Wow, I've been thinking about this. You just put a name to my thoughts, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's
So
crazy.
that's the time we're in now, and we will get rid of the shibud, and then automatically we'll get rid of these cheaters. That's why I call it. It's a side product, and that's why it's a bonus feature for the lotus eaters, and it's going to benefit even the people who are going and voting for their own enslavement. They're the lotus eaters. They're just, I'm just gonna eat lotuses and everything's fine, la la la. They don't realize what's going on. As a bonus feature for the lotus eaters, we'll dethrone the cheaters.
Wow.
We should be zoche.
We are zoche to hear the best rap ever written on the planet right now, on public record saying.
Shkaya. Thank you. It's
No
all
one,
Torah.
no one can do that.
The Avishter is good. Thank you so much. So we should be zoche that we took down Jorge Bergoglio as Roman Caesar, and now Amir Hashem teaches them the cheaters, bonus feature, lotus eaters. Zak Gemara, Rabbi Akiva Amar Treifa, right? Rabbi Akiva says not in Avela. Imi Masnisis, if it was from our Mishnah, I would have thought that's only if you go down to up. That's not how Shechita is done. Up to down. That he's doing it the derech hashchita, I would say that it's good enough. Kamash Malan, that no, not good enough. And if you have it hidden underneath at all, sell it to a guy because it's not kosher, And the only machlokas between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yeshovev was, okay, so it's not kosher. How not kosher is it? Is it not kosher to the point where it makes something impure? Or is it not kosher, but it's still not, didn't get down to the level of nevela, of impurity? No, Mitri Monim Shkayach. Amen. Okay. So, Kamash Malai, we live from there that it's not good enough. Let's see the Rambam. Do I have the bomb? Oh, I gotta bring the other bomb. But right now, at least I have a bomb in my back. And we happen to now be in a base medrash. Amazing. So, Shlegs, do you have the honor to go to a wall and find the Rambam? Mishnah Torah. We are looking in Perek Gimel Hilchos Shchita Halacha Tes. All right. Perek Gimel. Halacha Tes Hilchos Shchita. So we can see the Rambam even before Shlegs gets back, because I have the Rambam here. Maybe we'll see some Mefarshim. Good. Yeah, Hilchos Shchita is in Sefer Kedusha. Good call. So what did I say it was? It was 3:9. Chalada Ketzad. How do we do chalada? Again, I told this all. We learned on the first day of Chulin shit that we're going to be going. And I said everything at the right time. Shkayach. Grace Shkayach. Look at the size of this Gemara, of this Rambam. The Rambam is bigger than most Gemaras I've seen.
It's cured, bro.
Cured. Absolutely cured. Healthy as can be. So, the Rambam says like this. Chalada Ketzad Kigon Shehichnes Sachin Bein Simin LeSimin. This is why when people tell me, oh yeah, I know chalada, it has to do with not getting the knife stuck in in the wool, and I say that is also permutation of this psul shchita halach l'mosh mesira, that you can't do chalada. Also, the wool getting stuck in the wool. But the first one that they're talking about for chalada is between siman and siman. The idea is that you can't see the shchita being done. It's like a mole rat. It's like little Rufus. I can't see. Hey, Rufus, come out of that hole. Can't see him. I want to gaze upon you. Can't.
Right.
Why can't I? He's in the hole. One of the psulei shchita is that you got to be able to see the shchita, see the knife. I love it. I love that that's one of the things, because it tells us so much about the world, and about, like, it tells us about how we should approach the whole idea of, like, the shchita. Some people might think, okay, I don't want to see it. It's not good for my neshama, right, to see the shchita. So I'm just gonna, I'm not gonna look. I'm just gonna do my best. First and foremost, we got to make sure that this animal is getting the proper shchita. We're doing babish avaidas Hashem. We got to make sure that it's got to be in exactly the right spot, the right pressure, the right motions, and
By looking, you're honoring another neshama. Maybe.
yeah, that you're not just like thinking that it doesn't exist. That, like, you know what you're doing to get your food. You're understanding what's really going on, and you're honoring the animal, and
It's like Hashem who gives life.
and you're honoring Hashem. Gewaldig. So he says the Rabbah ben shep pasak asimin elyon l'mayla. So if you stick it in the middle, so whether you cut the top one above, whether you cut the bottom one below, shu b'derech hashchita, and he does it in the derech hashchita, but still psula. You can't have it. Okay, you can't have it trapped. So now we see the next Rambam. Let me. Gewaldig. It's so great. It's so great. The words are so big. I love a big Rambam.
Are you talking about the print size? Or you're talking about the words?
The print size. The words are the same. PASHUT, no matter how small or big you write them. But the print size is nice. I'm talking from Olam Hazeh perspective, which is good for my, Hichnes es asachin tachas haor. So you put the knife under the skin. V'shachat shnei asimanim kedarkan. You shechted them both properly. O she'ichlid es asachin tachas tzemer mesubach. Or you hit it, you twist it in under very confusing and thickety misubach. Misubach is complicated. It's thick. It's complicated. You stick your hand in there, you can't get it so easy. One of those.
Chinese finger traps.
Yeah, really bushy sheep over here. Oshaparas matlis al sachin, or you put a handkerchief on the knife, ve'al tzavar, and on the neck, matlis, and you shecht it under the matlis, under the handkerchief. Chief really hankering for a handkerchief. Hoil ve'ein as-sachin geluya, since it is not revealed, the knife is not revealed. Hare zo suffik nevela. It's a suffik. Why is it a suffik? Why is it an unsurety? Because what did the Gemara say?
It wasn't revealed.
What did the Gemara say? What's the psak? Teku. Remember, it said Eliyahu. The Gemara ended with I don't know. And so, so the Gemara ends with I don't know. And then Am Yisrael has to continue on living in the real world. You look in the Gemara says, I don't know. So what do we do? That's the job of the poskim, right? The Rambam's going to have to psak. So he says it's a suffix, because the Gemara says teku. What if you started a little bit of the siman of doing hachlada, and then you complete the shlita shelo b'hachlada? Again, it's a safek nevela. And so if it's a safek nevela, do you guys think it's kosher or not kosher? Chumrah. Yeah. That's what I was thinking also. Safek deraisa over here. Gotta give that to some guy. You know? You say, hey, Ali Edits, our Muslim friend, I got some great meat for you that's kosher enough for you watered down halacha. Okay. So, Ali Edits over here. Thank you for helping us learn even more Torah. You know? Listen, when it comes, there's something there is the chumrah as well. So, okay, so we saw the Rambam, and we have a pretty good understanding of this thing of chalada. There are actually two iterations, two different Rambams. Perek Gimel Halacha Tes and Halacha Yud. Halacha Tes tells us the first iteration of chalada, which is don't stick it in, stick it into the neck, and then do a shrita once it's already in the neck. You got to be able to see it. And on a similar vein, don't stick it
I got it.
in a similar bushy sheep vein. Don't stick it in, and you can't see where the shechita is doing because that's the suffix. So the real chalada is the stabbing between the two pipes, and then maybe it's also considered chalada for the wool, for the getting it stuck behind the wool or you can't see it.